Right, welcome to my 61st show, my weekly teen show, and tonight's episode is going to be about real men. And the title today is I'm a real man, I don't need help. How true is that? How true is it that all men, strong men, don't need help? You know, it's a fallacy, really. So what makes a strong man is the question here. An alpha male. And that's something I'm going to discuss. I'm going to talk about through my own personal experience and also through the coaching and work that I do with individuals to help them grow and become the best versions of themselves. But first, I'd just like to point out that I'm available for one-to-one coaching and also speaking events. This last week I've been doing a lot of work reaching out to businesses and companies and setting up speaking events. I'm doing one at the Metro Bank. I think next week it is. I think so. And my new podcast show starts soon as well. So if you're interested in watching that, sign up for my mailing list and receive details about that. It'll be available also on YouTube, so you can check it out over there if you're interested. But you'll receive information about that when it comes out on my mailing list. So sign up for that as soon as possible, and I'll leave the details in the comments box. So, okay, so when a guy acts tough and projects a certain image, made usually in front of his pals, you see the sort of guys, the guys who, with all the bravado, acting tough, full of confidence or arrogance perhaps, and they put on an act, basically. And now there was a period in my life when I used to look up to that sort of guy. I used to think to myself that the sort of guys who were the tough guys in life were these guys who would come into a pub or wherever, and everyone wanted to be like them. Everyone wanted to act like them. And they were usually the sort of guys who were quite cocky, physically tough-looking guys, funny, perhaps, banter, but not necessarily in a good way. It would be a lot at the detriment of someone else, perhaps. So putting other people down to get a laugh, that sort of guy. So I used to look up to that sort of thing. I mean, I was probably like that myself at one point. And I used to think, you know, you get respect that way. And a lot of people, you know, used to arse lick you basically because of that reason. And I was like that. And I know a lot of other guys out there who I used to look up to who are still like that. Mock other people, think it's funny to take the piss out of people and things like that. And, you know, it's an act. It's an act because a lot of guys portray this tough guy image thinking it makes them look cool. And you know, you can get confused into thinking that gains your respect. The reality is it's not respect, it's fear. So a lot of guys think they have to act like that in order to gain respect. But not necessarily in a physical sense or a tough fighting sense, but just in a general sense, guys tend to think that, you know, looking at your mind, looking at your emotions is something, it's like a woke thing. It's a load of rubbish, that. It's a load of nonsense. I hear it all the time. People laugh and mock my shows here because I talk about the mind. And I know plenty of people, they think I don't know who they are, but I do. But I don't care. Because one thing I learned when I was in jail is to learn what makes a strong guy and what makes a weak guy. And like I said, I used to look up to those sort of guys. I used to be one myself. And, you know, when I went to jail, I noticed something quite prevalent, really. And it was that the real tough guys, and I'm talking about proper people who have been in serious situations, probably the most dangerous people I've ever met in my life, were also the most polite, nicest, kindest sort of people I've ever met in my life. They weren't bullies. They weren't arseholes. They didn't go around taking the mick out of people. They didn't laugh behind people's backs. They didn't feel the need to be in a gang or part of something or to look cool in front of other people. They didn't feel the need for that. And the reason they didn't feel the need for that is because they'd been to hell and back. They'd dealt with things that other people hadn't dealt with. They'd faced their demons head on. And that means, when I say face their demons head on, that means they face their emotional and mental issues. So rather than poo-poo that sort of stuff, the toughest guys, the real strong guys in life, the alpha males, are the guys who aren't shy about facing their inner demons. They're the ones who, the real strong guys in life are the ones who actually face those things head on and deal with them. Because when you do deal with them, that's when you discover true strength, inner strength, courage. Because you know you can cope with anything when you've dealt with that. Strength isn't about physicality, it's about how you can cope with stuff in life. It's about how you cope with when things go wrong, whether you stand up to things or not, and whether you collapse when everything, goes wrong, basically. If you lose a relationship or someone dies or something like that, how do you cope in those situations? That's what determines inner strength. And it's only when you face those inner demons, instead of burying them like I used to, emotional problems or emotional mental issues and stuff like that, easy to bury all of that sort of stuff. So what I also noticed whilst in jail was that the weak guys were the sort of bullies, the guys who go around laughing and mocking people and acting tough, but not really tough at all. And it made me realise that all of those years where I was looking up to these so-called tough guys out here, I was a fool to myself, because they're not real tough guys. They're not really tough guys. They put on an act for the world to see, and they live that act. But really, underneath that facade, they're just as vulnerable as anybody else. They've got just as many mental problems or emotional issues than anybody else. And it may be the weak-looking guy, physically, who's actually stronger mentally and emotionally than the big, tough-looking guy. And when the chips are down, who would you rather be stood behind? The guy who buckles under the slightest pressure, or the guy who's always who can stand the pressure of anything, really? And that's why it's important for men to work on their mental and emotional well-being and health. It's not something that's pansy. It's not something that's to be mocked and laughed at. And if you do, that's fine. It just means that you're avoiding your own issues. And that's down to you. If you want to put on an act and pretend that you're tough and avoid something like that and say, oh, look at him, that's fine. But it also means that you're avoiding your own problems. But the thing is, it's not really about problems, especially what I do. I don't work with people who have problems. I work with people who want solutions. I work with people who want to be the best possible versions of themselves. So that means I don't want to sit in front or to work with people who are sitting there feeling sorry for themselves, or who are telling me how terrible their lives are. I want to work with people who are determined and committed to start working on things that create the life that they want. And that's why I'm delighted to sign up one of my clients who I've been working with over a year now, who's my testimonials was recently released about, David, for another 6 months today. I'm absolutely buzzing about that, because he epitomises everything I do. He actually has put it into practice, everything that I learned and also that I'm teaching, and he's reaping the benefits now. He's gone from being anxious, low in confidence, unable to sleep, overthinking every little thing, really at the pits of everything. And it got to the point where he had enough, and he chose to work with me, and now his life has absolutely turned on its head, and he's happy all the time, basically. And it's really about learning how to do that. And that's what that's what the sort of person I like to work with, is someone who really wants to start creating a life that works for them in all areas of their lives, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, literally every area of your life. And I work with you to remove fears, increase your confidence, keep you accountable to do the work that I help you with, and teach you, and it creates perspectives that work for you in any circumstance in life. So it doesn't matter what happens to you, you can always keep moving forward and keep yourself highly energized and productive. Increase your self-belief, and reduce things like stress and worries and stuff like that, or in fact get rid of them. Fears, remove them. So, and learn how to take control of your thoughts, your feelings, and ultimately your actions. And your actions, guess what? They lead to your life and what you create in life. So if your life isn't where you want it to be, you might be okay. You might be, doing all right. But why settle for all right when you can do amazing? And that's the thing. It's not about problems. It's about solutions. And if you want to start creating the life that you really, really deserve and want, then it's about time you committed to doing so and working on that, and get rid of the beliefs that, it's for somebody else. It's not. It's for anyone. And commit to working the process. And if you're interested in doing that, do it with me, and you can learn how to become fearless, be authentic, increase your confidence, make conscious choices. What else have I missed? Be yourself. Be you. And create yourself and become a real man. And if you're interested in doing that, leave your details either on my website, get in touch with in the book a call box thing that I leave at the bottom in the comment section, and we'll have a chat and see where we go from there. But I'm working specifically with men who are, feeling a bit stuck, maybe just a bit tired of the direction their life's going in, fed up doing gear every weekend, and just want to start living a life for a change. And if you're interested in doing that, give me a call. Okay, that's enough for tonight, and I'll talk to you all soon. See you later. Bye.